Okay, so this presentation has been recorded to address the two-witness rule and to explore whether the application is correct. So, one religion has been sued for inappropriate handling of child abuse. They quote 1 Timothy 5, verse 19 as the scriptural basis for not accepting and acting on claims of child abuse. So in this presentation, I'm going to consider number one, is 1 Timothy 5, verse 19 correct reasoning? What scriptural guidance could we look to? Why is this reasoning happening? And what do I do about it? So the first thing about 1 Timothy 5, verse 19, so it's in the Greek scriptures and in the Hebrew scriptures. Originally, it was part of the Mosaic Law. So at a basic level, 1 Timothy 5, verse 19 makes perfect sense. Two witnesses could be helpful. However, multiple witnesses is not a guarantee of culpability or inculpability. We have the scriptural example of Naboth in 1 Kings, where Jezebel had multiple fake witnesses, false witnesses, lie about him, and he was sentenced to death and his sons. So, multiple witnesses could be a consideration. However, based on Naboth's account, it would be irresponsible to place the sole basis of your claim of inculpability on this one scripture. The two-witness rule could be one of multiple considerations. But what are those considerations? Second Timothy 3, verse 16 says that all scripture is inspired of God. This might lead us to accept that a true spiritual person would consider the Bible as utmost authority. That means in a legal situation, you could look to it for legal precedents. So let's think about this situation of child abuse. Let's look for examples. Currently, this religion is stating that the two-witness rule from 1 Timothy 5, verse 19 is the basis for not being able to scripturally step in. The original context in Deuteronomy is relating to putting someone to death. We don't do that today. We're just looking for necessary precautions to put in place and to be able to stand up for these children. So yes, 1 Timothy 5, verse 19 should always be taken into account. However, we're talking about rape, assault, and abuse, the protection of a vulnerable person. So let's look for scriptural precedents and as legal precedents and examples of rape, assault, and abuse. Okay, on this page I've got three examples. The example of Tamar, the Mosaic Law, and a woman who was raped to death. In the example of Tamar in 2 Samuel, if we read the whole incident, we'll see that her brother Amnon raped her, and before he did it, he said, "Have everybody leave me." Then he raped her. So she was totally alone. There were not two witnesses. The after effects was that she was believed. It's recorded in the scriptures as an event that happened. Her other brother, Absalom, immediately took her and protected her and eventually put Amnon to death. Next, we have the example of the Mosaic Law. The Mosaic Law made provision for rape. In this scripture, we actually say, if a man happened to meet an engaged girl in the field, overpowered her, and lay down with her, the man would be put to death by himself, and the girl you did nothing. The girl has not committed a sin deserving of the death because she screamed and no one was there to rescue her. The fact that no one was there to rescue her would imply that there were not two witnesses. I mean, it's possible there could be other women and no one rescued her, but it also implies that there could be no one there. She was alone in the field. So lastly, we have an example of a woman who was raped to death by a gang of angry men. So this woman was badly abused, but the result was 85,000 men died because Jehovah's people allowed themselves to get into such an inhuman state that Jehovah exacted retribution on the society that allowed it. So here we've got three examples of sexual abuse and the results, and two for specific rape. So this is what we want to look at, not just the two-witness rule. So from these scriptural examples, we see that Jehovah's law does not necessarily require a second witness. So why are they saying we do? What's the payoff? Is there financial gain? What if they truly can't understand? 2 Corinthians 4, verse 3 and 4 says that, sort of indicates that they might not be backed by Jehovah, and their God is not Jehovah. Matthew 23, verse 23 to 25, talks about the scribes and Pharisees back in Jesus' day. He called them hypocrites, and they used the law to their own advantage. He called them blind guides, and he said it was because they are full of greediness and self-indulgence. The example at the very bottom where I show 1923 Yellowstone example, if you click on that link, that video of these religious leaders abusing these child, this is what I think of when I think of this organization, using these scriptures to protect themselves and not the children. So in theory, this religion will say they abhor child abuse, and they do at a high level, but in practice, we see something different. So do we want to be part of that? These people are being raped by overseers in the organization. Survivors are going for help. The organization does nothing. The victims are devastated, try to get help. The religion condemns them and calls them apostates. Essentially, this religion is murdering rape victims. So every person in this organization that gets paid to be a full-time servant is supporting the cover-up and abuse of these children. Every one of them is culpable. So I don't really know what the solution is, but one thing you could do is stop donating till they clean up Jehovah's House. You can use this in legal cases against them. You may also need someone with obvious scriptural backing to win against them. And most importantly, you will have to credit your win to Jehovah. And you can say, in your legal case, we will prove that Jehovah is not with these people. Since 2020, I've gone through something that seems like human trafficking, and I kept praying about it. And these two scriptures in Isaiah 65 and Jeremiah are the scriptures that I keep getting. And it makes me think that this behavior that's I've been enduring, it's stemming and originating with Jehovah's people. Now, I'm not sure how they could get involved in something like this, but for anyone who has been abused, Jeremiah 11, verse 11-15 does give us comfort, because Jehovah says, here I am bringing on them a calamity that they will not be able to escape. And it says, as for you, do not pray in behalf of these people, for I will not be listening when they call out to me. So this is good news for all of us who have been abused by this organization.